It is September 22nd, 2023. Welcome to the Wrestling Inc. Podcast. Tonight, SmackDown and this new era of WWE. After all the releases that we've seen in the last few days, WWE leaving Fox to bring SmackDown back to the USA Network. All that and more on tonight's Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn, joined by Flobo. Good to see you again, man.
Hey, how's it going? We're just talking about the good times and how sometimes when things are not as good, it may be a little awkward to be fans, but that is part of the wrestling arts and sciences, and that's why we're here. So glad to be a part of it today.
It's kind of like, have you ever worked an office job where there were layoffs and you were not somebody laid off?
Yeah.
And it's weird because you have to talk to your former coworkers and you're like, yeah, it sucks, man. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, that's really messed up what they did to you. Anyhow, I got to get back to work now. So we'll go out for drinks later or talk about this more. But right now, I have to keep this job that you just got let go from.
Wow, note to self, when I'm fired from Wrestling Inc., don't talk to Glenn afterwards.
It's just strange. It's just strange because you want to be compassionate, but at the same time, you're like, I could be next, man. I gotta.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of the long and short of it, right? Whether you like WWE or not, or like other promotions, it is the biggest circuit on the planet. So if you're released, you're kind of like, where do I go? But if you're still on the bus, you have to be like, hey, man, it sucks for you, but I got to keep doing my thing. And we saw some with the releases, some families are now split now. So that might be awkward too.
Yeah, it's always interesting. And I feel like it's been a while since it's been this many people. I mean, they had some during the pandemic. They certainly shed a decent amount of the roster during times where they weren't touring, but they really, it seems like in the last 18 months especially, built it back up.
Yeah.
And so there's some people that got released. I mean, Top Dollar, who was brought back to the company last summer under Triple H, Emma, who was brought back. These releases where that's got to be strange. Like, I was gone from the company. You asked to be back. It's all good. And then it's like, psych, you're out again.
Well, there's two things that's weird about that. Yes, there's some that are brought back and released, and some that brought back and stayed, and some that weren't even called at all. Like, No Way Jose was released during the pandemic, and his phone never rang. But on the top of that, other companies kind of wait until a contract ends. You know what I mean? Like, WWE is very unique in that they treat it almost like the end of spring training all the time. Like, you don't think of any, you don't see Cirque du Soleil having mass cuts like that. So it's always hard to see, even though, you can say this person I don't see very often on TV, or this person didn't have a good storyline, but to be on a board with 15, 20, 25 others is always hard to watch.
Yeah, it's, I mean, Cirque is like, oh my God, we have this abundance of talent. We have all these performers, too many to put in the shows that we have. I don't know. Why don't we make like a Cirque show around the music of Iron Maiden? Like, let's find a way to maximize this talent.
Yeah, I'm down for that one. Just people out there with little like long streamers hanging from the ceilings.
Shred, man, it'd be great. But I think that's the thing. WWE has always been bad about utilizing, like, they hoard talent and then they don't use. I mean, there's so many people. Aliyah, a great example of someone they were like, nope, not injured. We just don't have plans for. Mm-hmm. And then in the next round of cuts, she's gone. It's like they got backups of backups.
Yeah. I think that says a lot about the strength of their school, the Performance Center. I mean, it looks like the people that bring it up do Level Up, which is a show I watch on Friday nights because I'm totally marked that way. Says the future's bright with the NILs, with the bodies coming in, the student athletes are coming in. You get fresh talent, you can train them in their way, but you have to take a spot, as Jack Farmer would say. So you don't really are given a spot. Someone has to be benched or moved on. And just, again, I think it's the way it happens here, where there's a mass cut on like a Black Thursday or Black Wednesday that makes it harsh. But we all know, we all wanted fresh characters. We said 2 years ago, WWE was stale. They made changes to correct that, but this is actually part of the deal, unfortunately.
Well, it's crazy. Doesn't it seem this time it's really weird? And maybe this has to do with the fact that they just cut like 100 people in operations and within the company. I don't know what coincidental magic is going on here, but we're hearing in the last 24 hours, like, reasoning supposedly from high up, like, oh, Wrestling Inc. has a story. Vince McMahon didn't think Dolph Ziggler was ever a top guy. Mm-hmm. Like, we're hearing a lot of context come out around each of these releases and some reasoning, which is very interesting.
I think, yeah, it's a new era. I mean, we all know and I'm not sure if I'm stepping on your toes here with the release of the TKO stock. And I think there has to be some accountability. Like, you really can't get away with, we're letting you go just because, even though Connecticut is an at-will state. So, yeah, there may be some reasoning, whether to privately or in the media, as to why they're going to release you. Because, frankly, Dolph Ziggler was doing everything you want. Like, here is somebody who cannot be on TV for 3 months, but as soon as you give him a match, it's instantly your hour one main event. So like, it's very rare to something that be on that level. So you got to give him a reason. If you're not gonna let him finish his career there, you can't be like, sorry, Dolph. You got to be like, listen, this is what we feel. This is the direction we're going into, etc.
It seems like a weird Vince McMahon, like Mr. Burns thing, where it's like,
Mr. Hounds,
and make sure he knows I never saw him as a top guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just if you could let him know that for me, I'd appreciate it.
You remember when Big Swole got released and TK was like, yeah, she wasn't even good. And you're like, oh, okay.
Like, whatever happened, like, we wish you well in your future endeavors, you know, like, let's be cool about this, man. Because you never know. In WWE, you never know. So look, I mean, you can Wrestling Inc. has the complete list. Were there any you were surprised by, aside from Mustafa Ali, who's supposed to compete at No Mercy in NXT?
Yes, that to me was not the most surprising because of Ali's history with wanting to be released. It was kind of the worst timing, but I get a lot of flack for this. But the one person that was released that I thought had all the potential was Yulisa Leon. Now I know you're probably going, who?
No,
tag team with Valentina Feroz, I felt like really brought out a lot of Valentina's skill ceiling or skill floor. And as the women's tag division has been pretty thin, I said, like, look, this could be the answer to the other side. You know, WWE's trying to find their next luchador, trying to find their next masked performer, trying to find their next Mexican performer. Louisa being the first Mexican female performer for the company could have been a lot of potential for them. So having her released after just coming back from the knee surgery was, to me, like, I guess they are breaking this up. What's next for Valentina and what's next for that division NXT?
And some, I mean, like Elias or Rick Boogs or Riddick Moss, like, you can kind of tell when they're just not using someone. Shelton Benjamin. I mean, Dolph, it's been a while. Dana Brooke, though, was recently back in NXT. Had that great promo video that, like, she should just use that as her highlight reel, because like, even though she didn't win those matches, it definitely demonstrates that she interacted with all the top talent in the women's division of WWE. I think that, there were none that I was terribly surprised by. I know we found out today Matt Riddle was done with the company recently after he had that incident with airport security. It seemed like, he was having problems with getting along with people within the company. Ika Manjiro, I think Ika Manjiro's NXT career was over when they did that vignette where he was on the toilet.
Yeah, I don't want to soft long after that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, that was really, I don't know how you come back from that. But we'll see. We'll see if there's any more. There's been rumors there might be some more this weekend, particularly in NXT. So stay tuned to Wrestling Inc. for all the details. WWE stock price, massive hit, down almost 15% in the last 2 days. Now, it's crazy because you would think they got a 40% rights increase taking SmackDown back to USA Network. Oh, but Wall Street was expecting 50%. They were really hyping this rights increase. See, I thought the mistake was that in the press release, they didn't make it clear enough that this is just a deal for SmackDown. NXT and Raw are still on the table. I could see some people being confused, but this is kind of nuts.
Yeah, I do think this is going to be a slight correction. I think everyone buys into the hype, and once you understand when that money is actually coming from and when the check's actually clear, especially if Raw and NXT, which I'm not sure why it's a package deal still, but I guess they are a package deal still, where they end up, because it doesn't seem that USA wants all the cards there. I do think that's going to correct itself, and they're going to have it on the increase, because UFC is pretty strong business. WWE is making deals left and right. I mean, it's definitely I'm not an investor. Don't take this as investment advice, but I mean, in a figurative sense, it's a buy and hold situation.
It was at its all-time high trading in this. Now, I admit I did believe the hype for the first time. After this was announced, I bought a teensy bit of WWE stock. I know Issa holds some as well. I figure if a teensy bit.
Like 10 shares, like $1 million. Like what's the
yeah? I mean, like we're talking like low, like $1,000 investment.
Okay.
Yeah, took some money out of my mattress.
You know what?
The stockbroker.
I thought you had a briefcase, like the Money in Bank briefcase guy.
Yeah. No, I'm like notoriously frugal with things, but I thought because Isla was telling me, and she's mentioned on this podcast, she had bought stock. And I thought about buying it back in 2016, back when it was like in the teens, when it was low, and I did not. And I kicked myself for that. And I was like, you know what? I cover this. You know, might as well get a little something extra out of it. I feel like maybe I understand the company, as much as one can. And turned out not to be the greatest investment. But I'm going to hold on to it.
I would, if I were you.
Yeah, I mean, they say you only lose the money when you sell it.
True. Absolutely true.
But yeah, Isla not feeling well today. She's just heartbroken over this WWE stock loss because she's a major stockholder in the company.
Yeah, board member too, I heard.
Yeah, she has registered with the FEC, the whole thing, SEC. Everyone, all the ECs, EC3, all of them. But no, I think, we wish Isla well. She should be back next week. But yeah, crazy about the stock price. Crazy that it's going back to USA. And it was funny, the feed's cutting out on Fox tonight. And I'm like, Fox don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like you signaled to Fox, like we're done with you in a year.
Yeah. People don't understand like how beneficial SmackDown was for Fox. I mean, after the Disney merger, their entire schedule was gutted. They needed sports and entertainment.
Yeah.
SmackDown was a cheap show, relatively speaking, to fill 2 hours. Now they have a strategy. They're fine.
College football, it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Not just for sports gamblers anymore and alumni.
Absolutely.
Which is interesting. That was my thought. I always thought college football. I always thought college sports, the only people watching them were alumni and degenerate gamblers.
Not even up there above board gamblers, all degenerates.
I mean, I don't know, all gamble. Okay, when did this happen? Back 25 years ago. Did you notice that nobody ever says majority anymore? Now it's all vast majority.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's that shift, and now no one says gambler anymore. It's all degenerate gamblers.
It's true.
Yes.
Gotta label them.
Yes. Breaking though, if you thought in the main event tonight, why isn't LA Knight coming out? I believe Sean Ross Sapp said something big. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said something big was planned for LA Knight tonight. Seems like he's going to be the guy to join John Cena. There are rumors going around, or I have not substantiated these reports, that LA Knight caught COVID and was sent home from the show again. That's not confirmed, but that's why LA Knight didn't run out tonight and make that save.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, well, not the COVID thing. I mean, that's always a rough thing, and it sucks that COVID's here to stay. And hopefully, if he has it, and he's positive, he convalesces quickly. But if that's the thing, if LA Knight's supposed to be the third man, the fourth man in this matchup, that can be huge. Because as much as I love AJ Styles, I never quite was comfortable with AJ in the Bloodline thing because it started off on a weird pretense. The characters have been pretty much flip-floppy every week. Probably get into it in about a minute. Mm-hmm. So yes, I want some fresh blood there. And LA Knight, I mean, here's somebody you have to make a decision on. He's not the youngest guy on the roster. He's organically over. And if you're organically over, you have a very small window to pull a trigger before we all get bored and we say, oh, he's being stuffed down our throat. So it has to be soon. So I hope he's able to recover quickly and be that fourth man from the Fastlane match.
Absolutely. So talk about SmackDown in a second. WWE talent, NXT talent. I know many of you watch the show. We hear from you through back channels that you pay attention to this, and thank you for that.
Really?
My advice to all of you, don't answer your phone this weekend. Just shut it off. Don't even, they could be spoofing a number. It's not just avoid the 203 area code and whatever area code is Orlando. Don't just avoid that. Just shut your phone off.
That's not how that works, man. You can't walk into work and be like, well, no one called me. I guess I still have a job here.
I think Dolph Ziggler should pull a George Costanza and just show up next week. See what happens,
yeah.
And just be like, I don't know. No, I mean, I know that's been a running thing, but it's like if they need to cut people, I wonder if there's an HR. That would be funny if I was doing a behind the scenes series, or a fictitious behind the scenes series.
Yeah.
I would have that where somebody didn't answer the phone and they're like, oh, we got to find somebody else to cut so I can go home today.
Yeah, I mean, contracts were up there, man.
Yeah. You best hope if you're an NXT or WWE talent, you get a call this week, and you better hope it's extended car warranty or some weird debt or tax scam. Never going to be so happy to hear from the crazy family members you've been avoiding.
Yeah.
Every time you answer the phone, you're not going to believe it. So tonight on SmackDown, we heard from John Cena, who got the what chance and kind of just gave up.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 20-year-old chant.
I know.
What are you supposed to do with it?
It was like, okay, you got me. Cool.
Referee, officiant, guys that force the rules. I'm out.
Yeah. This was nice to see John. Nice that, they're really setting this up between him and Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, like the B-level bloodline, since Roman is somewhere, but he ain't coming back for a bit. But AJ made his way to the ring. It was nice to see them kind of on the same side, especially given the great feuds they had over the years.
Yeah, I would argue that's actually one of, besides Randy Orton, right? That was AJ's John's biggest rival, and all of them team up. And to me, it was like the perfect visual cue of SmackDown going back to USA, because the SmackDown Live era is one of my favorites. And AJ was the face that ran the place, the champ that ran the camp. Then again, I'm not really into the idea of AJ being here, but AJ and John Cena sign me up until eventually what happened.
Yeah. And I always like the formal rivals. Now they're like, only in wrestling can you like hate somebody and then go on to be teammates because somehow they've earned your respect.
And Marvel movies.
Yeah, it's true. Well, in the Fast and the Furious series.
Family.
Yeah, it's like you killed Han, but you've earned our respect, Shaw.
Don't get me started. I hate that. I mean, family was supposed to be a theme, not the plot franchise.
Okay, but we can all agree Jason Momoa is never going to be at the cookout.
He will. I swear to you, he will. That's going to make me so mad.
Actually, oh shit. Sorry. Segue. We got time. There's only two of us tonight. So in Fast X, there's that legitimately creepy scene with Jason Momoa hanging out with the two guards.
Yeah.
Spoil for people.
Yeah.
But in the next one, he should like kidnap members of the family and have like a cookout, like tea party, and force them to like go through that while they're being held hostage. He wants so badly to be part of the family.
They're not dead in this scenario.
No, they're not dead.
Okay.
They're just there against their will. And there's maybe like a stuffed teddy bear in Dom's place or something.
That is unhinged.
Yeah. Fast 11. Make it happen, Vin. Okay. Anyhow, so they were interrupted tonight by Jimmy Uso and Solo. And they had this stare down. And it's interesting that John and AJ were demanding the match. And they had to go to Adam Pearce to make it happen. And Pearce had to go to Paul Heyman to make it happen. What happened to the days where they could just say, let's fight right now?
Don't get me started because I'm a heavy NXT watcher, and Raw does this too. But NXT is like notorious for like, oh, Matt's made official over the break. Matt's made official on my phone. You know what I mean? And now having this, when Adam Pearce brought the contract, I said if it was for a SmackDown match, I would have hit roof because it makes no sense whatsoever. Why does Paul Heyman care? Total lapse in logic. It got us good television, but like that whole idea is like decide. Is it contract based? Is Adam Pearce a GM? Is he a runner up? Is he like Pat Buck? What is going on?
Adam Pearce is as a character, he is the weakest GM.
Is he a GM or an official?
Is he? Oh, that's a good question. So here's a crazy thing. Fastlane's happening 2 weeks from tomorrow. And the only match is John Cena and TBA versus the Bloodline.
Yeah.
No Mercy's happening next week, though, for NXT in Bakersfield. Tiffany Stratton didn't want to fight Becky Lynch at the Performance Center. She wants to do it on a grand stage like Bakersfield.
Yes, the crown jewel of
Crown
County.
Of Central Valley. Not even Fresno, Bakersfield. So enjoyed this tonight. We had the Street Profits with Bobby Lashley versus the LWO And man, if you thought the Street Profits with the repackaging and teaming with Bobby Lashley were going to get an easy win, this was a very competitive match that had the LWO standing tall and Bobby Lashley like demanding like his shoes and his swag back.
Okay, that and put the swag back in the cases.
Yes.
No, I actually like this on a bunch of levels. LWO, even though it is a legacy stable, is an LWO in name only. It's been pretty bad. I kind of miss Legado del Fantasma. They get a win. They sorely need it. And it wasn't cliche with the, miscommunication. Santos cost Ray the win. They have a match next week. That's cool. And the Street Profits, I also like the fact that they came out in a hybrid kind of way. Like they didn't have the killer instinct. They still had the cups. They still had the old music. I'm hoping that Bobby Lashley pushes them down the further line. But the question I have for you, Glenn, is where does that make Bobby? Is he going to be a third man in this stable? Is he just going to go that MVP role? Where is MVP now? So many questions.
MVP, don't answer your phone this weekend.
No.
When's the last time we saw MVP?
About a month ago, I think.
Okay. I like that. I don't know why this is where my minds went first. It's like that Bobby Lashley is trying to be like Charlie from Charlie's Angels, and the Street Profits are going to be Bobby's Angels, but they're going to beat people up while wearing suits and do Bobby Lashley's bidding.
Like Bobby's sisters. Remember that whole storyline?
We'll never talk about that again. That was
Sami Zayn will.
Oh, that's did he ever apologize? I feel like he should apologize for that. I wonder. He definitely is not put it over. I don't know what he'd rather talk about less, like the Bobby Sisters promo or his short-lived gimmick as Big Larry on the Indies. Both problematic for very different reasons. But yeah,
absolutely.
If Bobby's legitimate sisters came and beat up the Street Profits of his punishment for this, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, long-term booking.
Legitimate sisters. Look, I think LWO needed this in a way because it's almost like they're literally drawing straws with Roman out. If you don't have a title, it's like backstage. It just seems almost random. There's no rhyme or reason to the wins and losses.
Absolutely. Everyone's kind of tied up. If you're not Roman Reigns, and even if you are Roman Reigns, it's just because there's so many factions in WWE now between the LWO and Judgment Day and the Bloodline and whatever Bobby and Street Profits are doing and Alpha Academy. It's like if you're a loose orphaned wrestler, you only have a certain number of opponents you can get involved with on these short-term matches or shows, or else you invoke a stable and that becomes a thing. So I get it. And that's why I understand. I like the fact that Bobby's with the Street Profits, but you're right. It is kind of putting us in a lot of these fillers where you're like, okay, I guess we are getting the brawling brutes in a match without Sheamus, etc.
Oh man. So Austin, we got to recap WWE taking a victory lap on the Rock segment from last week and the bajillion views that got online. Then Austin Theory showed up at the announce desk to yell about how things played out for him. He was tearing that up. And then a video from Alba, Fyre, and Isla Dawn. And this is making the best of the situation because it fits their gimmick. They said that they are responsible for cursing the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship.
Your boy's torn, man. So Alba, Fyre, and Isla Dawn are fantastic. I like them separate, but together. That titles were way cursed before they even were thought of. But they're on TV. They're on TV after taking the most confusing losses in like 2023. So like it's like great, it's dope, it's fine. But now it's really on this team to really do something when they arrive. I know that's like weeks away. But if this becomes another situation where they show up and have a couple matches and then fade away like Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, I'm gonna be really upset.
Look, we've been saying on this podcast since their NXT days that they need to win matches by cursing their opponents. Like they should literally have who are the tag team champions now? The women,
Chelsea Green and question mark. Is it still Doudrop? Is it still a Piper Niven? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But they should have them sneaking backstage and stealing a comb from one of them, and things, and then it turns out they're doing a spell to put a curse on the champions before their match, you know?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I mean, it's kind of old school gimmicky, very, very new generation WWE, but
yeah,
there's still room for that. I mean, nostalgia's back.
They're witches.
Are they though?
Been established.
See, Alba Fyre is actually the harbinger of Alba, which is Scotland. So we don't really know if she's a witch or the human embodiment of her home territory.
Touche. But remember the first SmackDown promo, the like super creepy SmackDown promo? This one's the scariest things I've seen on TV, like easily this year. Like they've done, I mean, I feel it's been insinuated, but they've changed it a little bit. Like in NXT, they were more like the craft style witches, the kind of cool, like goth chicks.
Yeah.
You know, like they just are really into the Smiths and like emo and New Order, early New Order and Joy Division, you know, and like they shop at Hot Topic. But then they became like old school, like scary, like Blair Witch on the main roster. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's a solid gimmick. I think, look, we still have the Viking Raiders. They're still employed by WWE.
They are.
On the weekends, I'm sure they go to Ren Fair. They set up a booth. They sell meat on a spit or stick. They roast it on a spit. They sell it on a stick.
Face turn.
Yes. But no, look, if the Viking Raiders have a place in the world of professional wrestling, I think we can have witches.
I think we can, and if anyone's listened to me in any other podcasts I've done before, I am kind of spent on spooky gimmicks. From between the Dark Order and Rest of Soul, Bray Wyatt, and the House of Black, like it doesn't necessarily need to be dark, right? You fight for a living, don't like do that. But look, Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn, if that gets them a ticket to the show, then I'm willing to do whatever. Like I don't like Raquel Rodriguez's character now. She smiles too much and shows me too much of her back muscles, where she was Big Mommy Cool a year ago. But if it gets her on TV, sign me up.
I like that you're along for the ride, but here's the difference though.
Okay.
We have all these dark gimmicks. Aleister Black, House of Black. Ooh, he's so creepy. But if you're trying to master the dark arts, you should be using that to advance your career in wrestling beyond your abilities in the ring.
Exactly.
Nobody's been doing that. So that's why I applaud Alba and Isla. And as Dylan Matthews says, if they get their titles back, and you only beat them by pushing them off a cliff and seeing if they can fly.
You know what? That'd be the perfect witch trial live next week on SmackDown.
That would actually be really good. That would be phenomenal.
Season premiere.
I will get more money out of my mattress and buy more WWE stock if they do that. No, I think, but I like it though. I mean, yeah, I mean, we could go off on a tangent here, but let's focus on the matter at hand, which is that backstage we had a heated exchange between the Brawling Brutes, Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller, which Adam Pearce turned into a tag team match. See, why didn't they have to sign a contract?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I want consistency. But that's the thing. Your boy Adam Pearce was like, yeah, I could do it. And then tonight, didn't have to call anyone's manager, didn't have to call Sheamus. It was an instant done deal. And that's the match we got. So
then we got a nice 20-minute long match with Io Sky and Asuka for the WWE Women's Championship. And if you said, wow, they're going to really just put the focus on them and let them have a very competitive match and show their immense talent in the ring, well, you would be right, except we were also going to involve Bayley and then inexplicably Charlotte Flair.
Hated it. Look, I get the presentation. It's a dream match. I'm an old school purist, so I didn't like the fact that Io Sky didn't get her city mentioned in their billing. I don't understand why wrestlers don't get their weight mentioned anymore, but that's besides the thing. But the match itself, you have to run back, right? These are things that you don't want to have commercial breaks. Bayley has been the fall person because Dakota Kai is injured. So she's been taking so many L's. I'm the biggest Bayley fan on the planet. And Charlotte Flair, I used to deflect when people say it was all about her and she's been there, but literally bring her down to the ring. The queen getting involved just seems out of character. If I'm the queen, I'm watching backstage sideways, like Bret Hart looking at the monitor, nodding, going, next move, doing queen stuff. But her actually getting her hands dirty here just reeks of like something Becky Lynch would do. Didn't like it, didn't like that at all. But I hope because all the shade of Becky, because of this, I hope that we're able to run it back in a match, maybe at a premium live event.
It's interesting how they're setting this up. I just wish that if we're giving Io this opportunity to face Asuka, and it's crazy that Asuka still, like, they build up her streak and they build up her dominance, and I think her character right now is some of the best work she's ever done. but they still book her in the second tier of women's wrestlers.
Yeah, this is kind of what we always call the curse of the workhorse, right? When you're so good at making people look good, you tend to take a lot of losses. If you look at the former Sasha Banks, when she was on the WWE roster, her win-loss record isn't that great. She's lost a lot more matches than she won because when you are in the ring with Sasha Banks, you instantly become a star. And so, not saying Io needed that rub necessarily, but you had a match. It was the hour-one main event. You had some talent allegedly suffering from COVID and some roster changes as well. Why not say, we trust you with this? We'll have enough shenanigans where it seems inconclusive, but you're taking the L tonight.
Yeah. Asuka hit like 12 submission finishers on Io, and she survived them all.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Finishers don't finish anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy, right? Like I lost count at a certain point. It was really excessive, but it was good though. And I think they told a really good story. And I just think Bayley interfering, then Charlotte trying to stop Bayley from interfering. Like Io retained, but I mean, doing the math, like Charlotte's coming right back for that title. And the best thing in Io's favor from like a shoot perspective is that they can't have Charlotte win that title again yet. Like she's got like 2 more on her punch card,
right? And
then it's going to be such a big deal that, well, after that it's going to be ridiculous if she ends up like a 20-time women's champion or 25-time by the time her career is done. Like I don't know if that's a good stat.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hope there's not 20 at all. I want to cross my fingers and say Charlotte's being injected here to keep the argument fresh between Io and Asuka. You don't want to burn that. So if you're having her there, you can say, well, Asuka would have bully beat Io to force a second or third match. But if Charlotte walks away the champion now, then almost everything that people rumored about her will be true, which is unfortunate because I had, not to flex, had the opportunity to interview Charlotte years ago. She's like, well, it's not really about me. I'm usually the side person when it comes to my title opportunities, not really the main. There's no Becky the Man storyline for me. I'm usually the person on top of the mountain that you have to take down. So it's like, I hope that's not the case.
Yeah. I think it will be very interesting to see what happens. I'd like to see Io beat Charlotte and retain the title. I think Io needs a little more time with this title.
I suppose.
So Adam Pearce was talking to Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and Jimmy Uso. Heyman saying he's fine with the match against John Cena and AJ Styles as long as it's not tonight.
Classic wrestling.
Yes. So it's going to be a fast lane. There's going to be a contract signing, or so we think. Then Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, the bad boys of professional wrestling, the bad boy heartthrobs of professional wrestling, versus the Brawling Brutes minus Sheamus.
Yep. That's what we got.
Grayson and Austin seem like they're having a lot of fun together.
I hate this too, but yes, they are.
They look, I tweeted this, they look like sort of the bad guys from a 90s teen movie.
Yeah, and they're about as old enough to be them too. Like they're like the old enough to be the high school sophomores.
It would actually be hilarious if that was their gimmick. That they're like 30-year-olds playing like high school students.
Might as well.
Yeah. You know, like, hey kids. Yeah, that would be good. No, I thought this match was fine for what it was. It's weird that this was the main event though. Like, yeah, I really want to see what was happening with the John Cena, AJ, and Bloodline situation. So, and I don't feel like this match really had stakes. It just further solidified Grayson and Austin.
I mean, those were the stakes. Frustrating because if you watch NXT this week, Butch, in name only, because he was full on Pete Dunne, to be honest with you, had an actual banger with Tyler Bate. If you're into long-term booking, they were the first 2 opponents for the in the finals of the inaugural UK title tournament. Yeah, but you're right. It does seem like it's Friday night. Let's do this together. I'm not sure how far Sheamus is back from being full active, but the Brawling Brutes without Sheamus is very noticeable. Ridge Holland is not the most favored person in the IWC currently. So, but he was involved in the pin decision, so he's the one that took the loss. So I guess that's okay. But yeah, A-Town down under or under has to get over on some. I hate this. I don't like them together at all. But if it's going to be the case, they have to get dubs. And that's what we saw here tonight.
Yeah. It's got to be weird for Pete Dunne, like going from being Tuesday night Butch to Friday night Butch.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad to watch. Like, it reminds me of like those old WB cartoons with the singing frog, You're like, oh man, Butch is great. And then you watch him on Friday, it's like, hey, sing the song. Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. No? Okay.
Michigan J Frog.
Michigan J Frog. There it is. The WB mascot.
WB. So then we come to our main event segment. John Cena and AJ Styles are going to meet the Bloodline for a contract signing. And John Cena is out there, but AJ Styles is nowhere to be found because lo and behold, Solo Sikoa, that lovable scamp, decides to ambush him backstage and beat him up to the point that we have to call an ambulance, which Misha and Mia Yim gets in with him and one half of Gallows and Anderson.
Well, I feel like a negative Nancy here, man. So please pull me back from the deep end, right? Like, so the OC is AJ's crew, and they weren't there until after the break. So they didn't escort him into the ring, and they weren't there when he was getting beat up. They show up after the break, after John Cena saves AJ Styles. And the attitude is more like, you'll be fine. And I told you not to get involved with if this is your crew, why are you hanging out with them? Like, look, back me up and then tell me aside. Don't tell your boys that you're totally making a mistake. And the fact AJ's even dealing with the Bloodline is because they insulted Mi Chin and he went and defended her honor. So the fact that Mi Chin's hanging out with Anderson being like, what's he up to? Just like gets me so mad because AJ's going to a medical facility for being a nice guy.
Yeah. They should have said, like, AJ, this is why you shouldn't be palling around with John Cena.
Something. That would make sense. At least I would say, okay, these are guys with their own moral code or perspective.
What if the OC is in it? What if it's an inside job and the OC is trying to curry favor with the Bloodline?
Look, first of all, if the Bloodline needs the OC, they've lost the plot because they've been dominating for so long. Who's sitting there going like, we need Gallows? Like, no one's doing that. But no, that to me is like, if you're going to watch SmackDown for the characters, because I'm a character guy, that to me made no sense on a level. If I'm going to defend and honor my friend, and my friend is not going to be there for me to get beat up till after the commercial break, and then be like, well, we're going to hospital with you. I'm like, why am I doing this for you then?
Gallows and Anderson, don't answer your phone this weekend. AJ's in the hospital. He can't save you from being let go.
They don't want none.
That's also got to be weird too, that it's known that like AJ Styles is what prevented their release before and like got them back in the company presumably.
Yeah, I like the OC. Well, back when there weren't factions, I liked the OC as an idea and concept. And they tease of Finn Balor joining them, but somehow Judgment Day's found new life. You don't need them, and the OC are hanging out. Just the back playing cards. You know
what's an interesting look is baby oil and leather.
I don't follow.
Because I remember when they would come out, when Gallows and Anderson would come out in like the leather trench coats and the leather gear, but they were so oiled up. I was just like, that looks very uncomfortable.
In more ways than one, for the audience and for them.
Yeah. Mia Yim, don't answer the phone this weekend. Well, and I was going to say no one's safe because, again, Mustafa Ali has a match on a pay-per-view. Oh, granted, it's like an NXT premium live event next weekend, but still, like, nobody's safe.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, on Tuesday, he was literally like, why does Dragon Lee get a title shot before me? This is disrespectful. I'm going to see you on Monday. And they were like, no, you won't. Like, yikes. You couldn't let him go the week after? Like, why would you even?
That's actually amazing in hindsight. It's like, what did they know?
Yeah.
What did they know?
Yeah, I'll be thinking about that on the way home the entire time. Like, wait, so I did get replaced a week before.
Yeah.
Y'all saw it coming.
So we had the Bloodline out there getting massive heat. It was weird. I know things changed due to LA Knight's contracting of COVID, allegedly, supposedly, but it was a very weird end to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird.
The last time I saw John Cena lay down that long was the pipe bomb promo. And it was very obvious that the noise was piped in because the crowd wasn't doing anything, but they were booing you, everything. But this is what happens when you have two problems. One, a bloodline without Roman Reigns, because he is the attraction. Granted, we got kind of spoiled because we had The Rock last week. And two, not knowing what the bloodline does. We understand it's family, we understand the tribal chief, but with not knowing the kind of business they're into, it's kind of like, I don't buy it. I love him to death. I think Solo has done so much, but we don't buy a ticket to see who's Solo going to splash this week quite yet, right?
Yeah.
So we need another Roman Reigns. We need another high official, maybe their parents or an uncle, maybe Rikishi, somebody else to give us a view of what it feels like when Roman cannot be there. So we had this like little B team, not little, but this B team do it. And you're like, wow, you really beat up John Cena. See you next week. You know what I mean? Like,
I get what they're trying to do. But let's we forgot one thing that was a high point of tonight, and that was the Pretty Deadly recovery promo.
Yes, boy, Elton Strong.
That was very fun.
Yeah. Best to me, a highlight. I mean, I got Elton Strong on my notes too. Changed my life. Pretty Deadly has been killing it from UK to NXT. Hands down, my favorite tag team right now.
But still, to be safe, Elton Kit, don't answer your phone this weekend.
Yes, boy.
It's really terrible. I feel like no one, like I could probably make a list of who's safe, and it's probably 20 people that are safe in the WWE right now.
20 is a lot, but I'm with you.
Like, I mean, I'm afraid to toss out even more names. I don't want to curse it. I don't want to be, because I don't want anyone to come back and be like, oh, you're making the case. But I'm saying if you're not on TV, you should be worried. But even if you are on TV, you should be worried.
Yeah. Cursed by Glenn's a mood, though. Hashtag.
I don't want anyone to lose their job. I think it's tough, when they do this. And we'll see. I think, man, who's already crushing it, though, is Mansoor and Mace, former Maximum Male models, going on Twitch, winning over people with their sense of humor, telling behind the scenes stories, posting vignettes for reboots that didn't happen of their characters. Like, these guys are winning at being released more than anyone I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, you got to make that chicken salad. I'm not sure about you, but I've been fired plenty of times by entertainment properties, and that's really all you can do, even for your own sanity, to say, do I still have it? Am I good at what I do? Let me clear the air. So props to them, because we hadn't seen them in so long. I was wondering, had they been let go beforehand? This week made it official, but the fact they landed on their feet so far is pretty dope.
Tanya, I tweeted this, but we need to get some men and women that have been released like them, some independent wrestlers, get a talented skeleton crew, get some people that know how to shoot, know how to edit, and do a YouTube-based fed. Don't worry about having live shows yet. Just literally channel that creativity into a wrestling product. I think it's almost cliche to be like, oh, I'm going to do game streaming or I'm going to do a podcast, and those can be good. Mm-hmm. But I think that if you have a passion for the business still and you want to do things in a different way, you can produce quality content now for next to nothing if you have time on your hands. And this will only increase your value for independent bookings.
Oh, fair enough. But there's no ad revenue on YouTube anymore. So you'll be doing it for a long time.
You could do, but I don't know, man. If you can get us, I mean, look at what Maven has done recently.
Oh, yeah. I love his stuff. I actually watched his stuff yesterday. The new one with the, PDs.
I mean, but that's crazy. I mean, like, that's like props to him to come out, like, it seemingly come back out of nowhere and go from 0 to 100,000 subscriptions in the span of like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
All credit to him. He's done an amazing job. So I think people want to keep in touch with these entertainers that they have a fondness for. And I think some people are more entertaining after they're not in WWE anymore. They really get to be themselves. They don't have to worry about what Vince McMahon finds entertaining. Sure. So I don't know. I think the future is bright if you have the hustle.
I feel that there's a challenge there when you're released, because I speak from experience being let go by giant companies in my career.
Sure.
Of do you do what worked, what brought you to the dance? Do you try something new? Do you try to stray too far to make a new persona? Do you stick yourself? I look at the Matt Cardona thing. Matt Cardona took elements of that was there and added something new, but many people don't have that opportunity. So people go too far the deep end. They start doing the dark gimmicks, and then it becomes too much too soon. And also, without having that income, you're trying to figure out real life stuff. So very small window to land on your feet, but it can be done there, Glenn. I love the idea. I'm just being a negative Nancy for the content.
No, I feel you though, man. But I think that if you're in the public eye, like that's, I mean, I've been let go from jobs before, but it wasn't something like where I was on the air and then I wasn't anymore. Like I wasn't I wasn't in that position and then not. I just think that for them, like that's what's important. That's their value. They're still going to have to figure things out regardless, but they need to keep that value of their public facing persona, keep that fan base. Like that is their asset at this point. So, maximizing that's a good thing, but I think it's always interesting what people do. I think it's even more fascinating sometimes when people decide to get out of the business and just go on, do something else,
Yeah. The crisis of conscience is, do people love me? Do they love the show, or do they love the brand? Right? Like if I play for the New York Mets and they cut me, people might like me, but there are a lot more people that love the team. Right. And so, but you're right. I think that's really up to you to find out what your persona is. But I think a lot of people get released and think they're the attraction and they realize, oh, I was just on the attraction.
Yeah. Interesting. There should also just be a site that comes up with your indie name, your indie variation of your WWE name that they can't sue you for using.
I'm taking you guys. My name is Issa Glenn. Bam.
Or there should be a service you can go to. You can be able to go to a service and they'll be like, no, this will get you sued, but this is cool.
This will get you sued.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting what they always pick because it's just always like a little similar. I mean, like Fandango went with Dirty Dango. Tyler Breeze is just going by Breeze.
Yeah. Heath was Heath for a bit.
Yeah. I know. I can't trademark a first name. Everybody's got one. Cool, man. Well, Flobo, thank you so much. Where can people find all your stuff online?
You can follow me on that X at Flobo Boyce and Blue Sky too. And I'm on the interwebs. Just put my name in there in the Google search engine. All the stuff will pop up. Hopefully you say what's up so I can say what's up back.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at Glenn Rubenstein. I think I'm also on Blue Sky under the same name. I've posted like one thing there. This weekend, the reunion with Raj Giri and Matt Morgan continues on Gigantic Pop Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're recording an episode. We're going to talk a little bit about Top Gun Maverick, Jerry Maguire. But in that, we are also going to talk about Matt Morgan's Jerry Maguire moment of getting released by WWE.
Ooh.
It's going to tell that story in painstaking detail.
Wow.
So, you still can't answer a 203 area code. It just brings back too many painful memories. So Gigantic Pop on YouTube. Find it, please subscribe. And of course, subscribe to the Wrestling WINC Podcast. Leave us a review, leave us a ratings, like it, leave a comment. And we'll be back here Monday night for Raw. Myself will be back Tuesday for NXT, the go-home show before No Mercy. Flobo, everyone, have a great weekend. And we'll catch you back here next time on the Wrestling WINC Podcast. Take care.
Elton Strong.